Hello and welcome back to this video series on Python Pandas package. In this video, we will learn about inspecting data within the Python within the Pandas data frame. Since we have already created a Pandas data frame and imported data from the CSV file within the data frame. So let's start by exploring the data frame columns. You can view data frame columns by calling the df, which is the data frame, and then column. This will give you the list of columns which are present, column labels which are present in this data frame. Similarly, so these are the labels for columns. Similarly, you can view labels for the rows as well. And for that, you can call df.index. So this index was generated by the pandas package. It starts from 0 till 195. This is a range which starts from 0 and stops at 195, and this is the step. So this index will be useful when you are doing any manipulation, data manipulation task. You can use this in a loop. Suppose if I want to use for I in df dot index should be period, and now I can print index. So you can use as you want. Maybe you will need this index to iterate through all the rows. There can be multiple use cases of using the df index. You can also view the shape. So another property of the data frame is its shape. You can call the data frame dot shape property, and it will return you the number of rows and the number of columns in the data frame. So we have 35 columns and 195 rows in this data frame. Next, we will see the data frame describe function, and the describe function will give us the statistical summary of the data frame. In this case, you can see these are the columns which were assigned the data type as float 64 by the pandas package. And here are the statistical numbers. You can see the first row is the count for every column in the data frame. Sometimes this one contains some null values, like the total number of rows are 195 in this data frame, but here it has 189 count. It means that around 6 or around 5 6 values are null in this column. Here this one is the mean number of the column. This is standard deviation. This is the minimum value in this column. uh, this is 25 percentile of the column value. Here 50 and 75 percentile, and this is the maximum value in this column. Similarly, we have the same values for every column in the data frame. So this is how you can use describe function to have a quick analysis of your data frame. Next, we will see into the value counts function, and that is again by calling the data frame and calling the value counts function. So since we have 35 columns, I'm not sure this will make more sense. Let's just see it for a single series or a single column. So I'll remove it and pass this. Yeah. And let's just view the official column, official language column. uh, Again, you can see we have these values in this column, and if I now call the value for count function, So this will get us the number of instances for each value in this column. So English is present 31 times, French 25 times, and so on. So this is how you can analyze your column values. Uh, you can also do the same for unique values in this column, right? Next, we will look into how do we get a particular column or multiple columns. So we already saw how we can view the single column. Now let's see to view different multiple columns. Like I want to view the country column and the official language column. Oh, so this should be passed as a list, not a single value. This is how you view multiple columns from the data frame. You will pass the list of the column labels, and that will get you just those columns out of the data frame. And if you want to view, uh, suppose just the first row from this column, right? So you will do that by calling the I location, and here you will pass the index level. This will give me just the first row from the data frame containing the country and official language. Next, we will see how to access value at a particular position in the data frame. So in this case, we will be looking in the official language column. We want to access the first value. So for accessing the value by the index number or the index column, we will be using the iloc variable, which is a list, or you can say array, and we will pass the index label. In this case, will want to get the value at zeroth index in the official language column. So this will get us the first label in the official language column. Similarly, if you want to get the 10th index, and here is the Azerbaijan index. You can do the same instead of providing the column label. You can also access this by the position of the column, like the number of the column in the list or in the row of column name. So for that, you will again provide .ilog property, and here the first number that you provide is for the row number, and the second number that you provide is for the column number. In this case, you can see we access the value from the first row and the second column. Let's see if is it the same value. So the first row and the first column is second, and the second column is six. So this is the value we accessed. So the I uh, character, or the I log, stands for the indexing, which means that you can access the value in at a particular position by providing the index numbers. So the first index is the row index, and the second one is the column index. You can also do the renaming of columns. Suppose now we have these column names, right? Suppose I want to change this P new line, then P something it is. I can do in this case, let's change the column for this one, density something. Again, we can call df dot rename function, and here you will say that columns is equal to, and now you have to provide a dictionary. So in dictionary, there should be the key should be the old column name like this one, and the value should be another column name, the new column name. I will just call it this, right? And now if I run this, you can see our column name has changed from density new line p per kilometer something to just simple density. So next we'll inspect the null values in a data frame. For that, we have to call the data frame is null function. This will return the true false array or two-dimensional array of the all the values. So for false, it means that this value is not null, and for true, yeah, here it is true, which means that this value is null. This is an empty value in this column. So that's how you can investigate the null values in a data frame. You can also fill null values with another value, like you can call BF, and you can, the data frame, and from the data frame you will call the fill NA values, and here as a first parameter you will pass the value which you want to be replaced. You will pass the value which you want to be placed on the instead of null value. Suppose I want to place x value instead of null. Yeah, here you can see this value was null previously, and now we have x here. You can also call the fill NA function on single column as I want to set dot fill NA, and I want to set this x value. So this time the fill NA function is applied only on a single column, and here you can see this value is changed to x value. This was previously null value, now it's changed to x value. Similarly, you can also drop the null values. So if I call df dot drop NA, this function will drop all the rows which contains any null value. In this case, here we had uh, in the third value we had this value null on forces, right? So if I call this drop NA function, this function will drop this or remove this row, the fourth row from the data frame. Let's test it. Yeah, you can see third row or fourth row, which was the label was third, for which the label was 3, is not present in this data frame because that one contains null value and that one is removed. Okay, so sometimes you want to drop a column which contains null values, right? In this case, we had, suppose here we drop, so here it dropped the rows, right? But now we want to drop the column if there is any null value. So for that, you have to provide the parameter as access is equal to 1. So by default, this access is 0, which means that if you call this drop NA and don't provide any parameter value to access, it will by default drop row. And if you set the access parameter to 1, it will drop the columns. Now if I oh, it means that all the other columns had any null values and all of those are dropped. And we are left with just two columns, country and density, and the rest all columns are dropped. because those columns contained null values. Next, we'll see how to replace a value in the data frame. So incomplete data frame, by the way, and you are not, these changes are the changes that are I'm applying in these previous examples are not seen in the data frame because we are not saving this data frame. So if I do df is equal to df dot from any, then these changes will be translated into the data frame. But right now, since we are not assigning it back to data frame, that's why these changes are not saved in the data frame. So you guys, you might be noticing that why are we not seeing these changes in the next examples? Because we did not assign the changes back to the data frame. That's why these changes are not seen. So next, if we want to replace, suppose a value, in this case we have, in our abbreviation we have AFG, right? And we, there are multiple similar values AFG in multiple position, and we want to replace all F values with AFG, and then we can see now we have AFG. The AF is replaced by AFG, and these changes, this replacement is not saved in the df. And if I do it, like if I again call df, then see it's changed back to af because I did not assign df to save the value. And now if I again save df is equal to df dot replace, now these changes will be saved in the data frame. And if I call this, now we have, you can see the changes are saved in the df. And if I call again the df, now our changes are translated in the data frame. And uh, now from now onward, wherever we are using this data frame, we'll see this change, af change to afg. Similarly, we can apply the replace function or a single on a single column, like df dot or df, and here you need to pass the column label. I'll call this official language, and can call the replace. And here in the official language, not so, let's say I want to change Pashto where is Pashto new, right? And we'll save this back to data frame as well. If I just view this column, right? Official language is not present. Oh, sorry. So I messed this up. I messed this up because I set the data frame just to a single column. And so we just now have a single series in this data frame. Okay, so you can see uh, our value Pashto is now changed to Pashto new. So that's it for this video. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe my channel. So this will motivate me to create more such useful content. So see you in the next video. Thank you.